Today we're going to take a look at a great new option for people looking for affordable dive watches. And we're going to take a look at one of the latest additions to the Rotary Seamatic collection. Now, if you've followed me for any time, I'm sure you're aware of my feelings towards Rotary. They make a lot of, their catalog is quite broad. They make a lot of great watches with a lot of different designs. And this is actually a great example of why I'm a fan of the brand. So unboxing wise, it's a standard box. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But here it is. The Rotary Seamatic. Now, this specific watch has been added to the current line. This is available in a couple of other colors, but I actually like this one mainly because the other ones have multiple colors on them and a different colored hand. But this one here seems pretty straightforward while still keeping it relatively bright with the orange color. So again, I'm a big fan of this brand mainly because of the value that they offer. And this is a good example of this. So specification wise, we're looking at a 42mm case, which is substantial but not enormous. It's a pretty good size for any tool watch. We're looking at a 300-meter water resistance. There's a case back. And this does use a Miyota movement. Looking at 22mm lugs. And with all this, I believe this one is going for about $230. Minus a little bit if you can get some discount codes. But to me, ever since the SKX kind of went out of production, it left this market space for these kinds of watches. And a lot of brands have kind of stepped up, but I rarely see Rotary mentioned in this kind of affordable diver race. And to me, that's crazy just because it's such a great value. And the specifications are just fantastic. This one's at 300, has a 300-meter water resistance again. You can tell there they have applied indices, signed crown, strong bezel there. So I brought out a couple of popular dive watches to compare them with. Really, I don't want to spend too much time on being redundant. This just seems like a great value for under $250, all that you're getting, while keeping it in a brand that's been around for a very long time, has a long history of great watches. I don't think it gets much better than that in terms of value. So of course I had to bring out the Samurai, because this is another very popular orange watch. Now right off the bat you can see that the Samurai is significantly bigger, and that's expected. I believe the Samurai comes in at 44mm. It's a little bit thinner, the Samurai, but not by much, and it's mostly because of the unique case. These lugs are very long, kind of give the impression of thinness, and this has a lot of, the Samurai has a lot of sharp edges, while the Seamatic here has a lot of, it's very curvy, very circular here. But if you have this orange Samurai, you can tell right away, for reference, the Rotary is a lot darker. This is more of an orange, like the fruit color. Well, this is more almost like an egg yolk orange. Very different. There's good arguments for both. But I did want to bring this one out to show the difference between the colors. It's not just a uniform kind of orange. I also brought out this Citizen, very popular watch. And you can see that the Citizen does appear a little bit bigger. I brought this one out because even though it does have a bigger size of case, the lugs are quite a bit smaller. You can see there. But again, you can see how, despite this being automatic and this being quartz, it's not that much thicker. That's a nice plus. You do want your two watches to be kind of hefty, but not over the top. And finally, of course, I brought out the Seamaster. And this is, to me, was one of the best selling points of the Rotary. Of course, the Seamaster is 10 times the price, 20 times the price. But the reason I did bring this out was because of the skeletonized hands. To me, this is the first time I ever see a watch with skeletonized hands that isn't a direct copy of the Seamaster hands. And I really do appreciate that. If you take a look, you can tell that the minute hand on both are triangles and the other ones are and the hour hand is very circular. But even at that, they're clearly different. They're very, very clearly different. That of the Rotary is a lot bigger and it has a very sharp point at the end of the hour hand, while the minute hand is not as sharp as the Seamaster. And I really do appreciate that. I think skeletonized hands can work really well, but they all tend to go towards that Seamaster look, kind of, well, obviously going after that kind of design. But I did appreciate the fact that Rotary went this direction without being a direct copy of the Omega. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lume of this watch and see how that holds up compared to the other brands. Alright, so let's take a look at this lume. Yeah, right away, I gotta say this is the first time I realize this has a lumed bezel. And that really is a huge plus to me, just because you don't see this very often with affordable watches. And the ones you do see, they usually have very uneven distribution on the bezel compared to the hands and indices, but this is really, really nice. This is applied really, really well. And you know, one of the things I do notice here is that on the pip, you have the triangle loomed. See if I can get that to focus, and the actual pearl loomed a different color. That is really neat. I don't think I've ever seen that actually. Now you do have the minute hand a different color, which is a nice touch that you do see in some dive watches. But let's go ahead and compare this with some other looms. So here it is next to the Seiko, and of course the Seiko does look a lot brighter, but the application of the Rotary, to me, really goes a long way. This seems really, really bright. This seems very well applied. Here it is next to the Citizen. And here you do have a similar situation where you have a different color on the pip. On the Citizen you have blue lume all around, while green on the pip, and here you have green lume all around with blue on the pip. Here it is next to the Seamaster. Now, of course, I would have really liked if they could have done on the Rotary this detail on the Seamaster, that you have the skeletonized hands loomed rather than just the tips here. But again, the Seamaster is probably 20-30 times the price, so I think that's forgivable. Let's go ahead and throw the Rotary on the wrist and see how it fits. So on the wrist, it really does fit similar to most dive watches in this market, in this price range. Now obviously this is not size, but it fits well. I have a very small wrist, closer to 6.5 inches. So even at that small diameter, this does work pretty well. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I do think this is one of the best options in terms of value, and you really can't go wrong with this brand. I highly recommend this one.